had just passed through. She came down the center aisle. As Corinne came closer to her groom, she also came closer to the place where they will exchange their sacred vows before God. We are all gathered together here before God to be ear and eye witnesses of Chris and Corinne's marriage covenant. You may not be aware, but originally the wedding register was placed at the reception. It was always to be signed after the guests witnessed the exchanging of the vows. For convenience sake, we place the register as you enter. We'd like each of you to sign on your way out if you've not already done so. Please consider your signature on the register as written confirmation that you are a witness to the sacred vows that are soon to be exchanged. Typically, the audience is left to be pretty much passive spectators. That will not be the case tonight. I will ask each of you to be active participants in Chris and Corinne's marriage as you have been in their lives up to this point. All of us, as witnesses, need to continue to serve as their support system. And I admonish you to take your friendship and care to these two to a higher level by listening carefully to these vows and then committing to do everything possible to assist both of them in carrying them out. There is a sense in which we all have a stake in this union because we all care about Corinne and Chris. And we trust that what God hath joined together, no man will ever put asunder. At the end of the ceremony, the bride is requested, in honor of her family's ethnic tradition, that she and Chris jump the broom tonight before they walk down the aisle. If you're not familiar with this, let me explain it to you. This is a tradition that dates back to the 1600s and is still an important part of wedding ceremonies in most of West Africa. The jumping the broom signifies their entrance into a new life and their creation of a new family by symbolically sweeping away their single life, problems and concerns, and jumping over the broom to enter into a new adventure as wife and husband. So when Rick Taylor, the father of the bride, brings out the broom and places it in the aisle, don't be surprised. In fact, I will ask you to encourage the bride and groom by saying together with me at the appropriate time, jump. Everybody appreciates a good love story. And so I'd like Chris and Corinne to face the audience while I tell you theirs. It was January 2012 when Chris and Corinne took an animation class together. A&I 151. Chris sat next to Corinne and they quickly became friends. Corinne said she always looked forward to that class because Chris smelled so heavenly. But apparently he wears this men's cologne pecan name. And if any of you single fellows in the audience would like to tips on how to attract women, you ought to look up pecan man and put some on. Corinne said that she went through the whole semester with the biggest crush on Chris, but he seemed clueless. The last day of the semester, however, on April 28, 2012, Corinne decided to bake him brownies to show how special a guy he was. The way to a man's heart through his stomach, right, Corinne? At any rate, still clueless, Chris took the brownies, ate one, and passed it around in class. Corinne said he thought he scared him off and had just sort of given up. But it turns out Chris still did not take the hint. Until a classmate of his, who happens to be one of the groomsmen tonight, told him, of course Corinne must like you. She didn't give anybody else brownies. By the way, David Procopine. Which one is David? He didn't think about it. David's encouragement and his discernment will be here tonight. David, I don't know what you got in A&I 151. It's fucking that's me. Anyway, Chris, believing David, knowing that he was not likely to face rejection tender kiss together on May 22nd. Then began the rest of their relationship and courtship. Chris says that after getting to know Corinne and the things she stood for, and after he saw what a close relationship he had with God, he knew that this was the high-quality type person he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Corinne and the entire Taylor family enveloped Chris with love and taught him about God and Jesus Christ. Chris says, before learning about the gospel, that he considered himself an agnostic. He will be forever thankful for Corinne for enabling him to be a person of faith with a close walk with God. The courtship, like most, has been filled with ups and downs, good times and some hard times. But they made